Hello, hello, hello. Hello there. Can you hear me and see me okay? Hi, Melody. Hi, Richie. Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today. Fantastic. You can hear me and you can see me. Can you hear the music? Is it too loud? Is it too soft? Let me know while I get my tech set up. I need to be doing something. Okay, I won't be able to get the chat working on YouTube. We are streaming to YouTube at the same time, but that is okay. Too soft. Okay, I'm going to turn it up a smidge. It's nice that if it is at the right amount. Hi, Deborah. Let me know if you can hear that. I've got it in the front here. Okay, where are you? Good. Oh, thank you, Angela. Hi. Yeah, thank you. I've just come back from my volunteer shift at the Cat Cafe in Georgetown. And so, yeah, this is not my usual home appearance, but it is what it is today. How are you all doing today? And where are you watching from? Are you ready to get some creative juices flowing? Are you ready to do some doodling, to connect with your Zen, to give yourself the gift of a little pocket of peace and creativity? Richie, all the way from Ontario, Canada. I hope you're keeping nice and warm, and I hope you've got something nice and warm to drink, or you've got, you know, something to keep you cozy during this session, because that's exactly what this session is intended to be, a little cozy pocket of self-care. It's a cozy pocket of self-care. So yeah, I hope it's not too cold up there. It's quite mild here today in Virginia/Washington DC. Mild enough to have walked to the Cat Cafe. So today, as we usually do in our weekly doodling sessions, we're gonna be doing some doodling, so make sure that you've got your tools of the trade with you, that you have a pencil, a pen, markers, a journal, pages, paper, scrap paper, or your Apple Pencil and your iPad or whatever device you choose to draw on, and whichever software you choose to draw on. Whatever you feel called to create on is just perfect, completely up to you. So get settled in and with all of your gear and equipment. Angela from Indiana, yes, I'm going to start remembering the names with the locations. Thank you for joining, Angela. Feeling a little under the weather. Oh, I'm sorry. I have 2 brand new sets of micro point markers to use. Fantastic. That's so exciting. One day, I do believe, because I have a set of pens down my side here, I feel I'm going to be called to be using these sometime soon as well. However, I do love my iPad and my Apple Pencil, but these colors just really speak to me. Yeah, so I think there's something beautiful about the tactile nature of the analog pens and pencils for doodling. So whatever you have with you today is just perfect. And gosh, where are we? The 19th. A week past, or less than a week till Christmas. My goodness. So yeah, as I normally do with these sessions, we're going to open it up with drawing of a card to help us with setting some intentions for both the session, but just in general. So while you're grabbing your equipment, your creative tools, I'm going to shuffle this and try one more time, just to get the chat on YouTube working as well. Let me just see. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, technology. One day I'm going to have this all just sorted and organized so that there's no faffing when we go online. Okay, that should solve that issue. So if anybody is watching on YouTube, you should be able to chat at the same time. I'm hoping. I think I have yet to get that right, but so it goes. All right, so drawing of our card. Let's see what the intention for today's session is going to be. I will also share that this morning I was sent the link to a podcast that I listened to throughout my shift at the Cats, and it really resonated, and I'm inspired to share some of the nuggets that I've listened to so far. I haven't yet finished it, but it was really affirming to hear a well-known author speaking about the benefits of creativity and the benefits of creative practices, whether it is drawing like we're going to do today, or maybe it's video editing, or maybe it's making music, or maybe it's cooking or baking, whatever the creative flavor that resonates with you, how beneficial that is for our well-being, and particularly for overcoming anxiety or managing anxiety. So I thought that was really relevant, so I'm going to share more of that today. Okay, let's see which card comes up for us. This one. Ooh! It's a sassy one. Being sexy. That's our card. There we go. And it says, being sexy is not about the way I look. Being sexy is about the way I walk, the way I talk, and the way I think. How about that? Isn't that just a lovely reminder? I really like that one. To embrace our sensuality, to embrace our humanness, for us women, embracing our femininity. Well, for anybody, embracing their femininity. And I feel like that's an aspect of ourselves that sometimes we're conditioned to downplay and just turn the volume down on. And perhaps, well, actually, funnily enough, now that I'm talking about it, I recently have made the very visceral connection between creativity and our sensual side, and how they very much are. There is a connection. If you know anything about the chakras, they're all both creativity and sensuality, sexuality resides in the sacral center. And because I've been delving so much into my own creativity and creative expression for no other reason, for the sheer pleasure of it, it got me thinking about what is that connection between creativity and sensuality. And isn't this just the perfect reminder? I would love to hear your take on that, if you've got any insights into the sacral chakra and the connection between sensuality and creativity. Jessica, hi, good to see you. Thank you for joining. And this is a different time of day that we're doodling today. So I'm so grateful to see some familiar faces. You're just saying hi, off to your kiddos' Christmas concert at school, so can't stay. Fantastic. Well, watch the replay on YouTube, because this is going to be a festive themed doodle. So you might want to do that when you have the chance. Alrighty, so let us start. I always start off with a little bit of a mindfulness practice, mindful mark making. And usually it is a breath exercise, but as I was inspired by this podcast this morning and a creative practice that she shared, and the podcast, first of all, was Diary of a CEO, and I think it is the latest episode, and Stephen was interviewing Martha Beck, and she was talking about the connection between creativity and overcoming, using it as a means, or that it is basically the key to unlocking freedom from anxiety. So this exercise is inspired by her, directly from her interview that I listened to just a couple of hours ago. So let's switch over the camera. Hopefully you can see that. Oh, I'm in a weird spot. Let me just move myself into a more convenient spot. There we go. All right, so hopefully you can see what's going on here on my iPad. Let me move the camera. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to do the exercise just to ground us into the session and do a warm-up, a creative warm-up, get our wrists moving, feeling the pen or the pencil in our hands, and opening up the space for tapping into this creative session. What I'd like for you to do, whatever shape or size page that you have in front of you, focus on the left-hand side of the page. I hope that the screen is showing that I'm indicating the left-hand side, because as I'm looking at it, it's flipped. So on the left-hand side of your page, anywhere, top, middle, or bottom, doesn't matter, write your name so that the end of your name kind of lands up being in the middle of the page. So fairly big. You could do this in pencil or in pen, whichever you prefer. You can write your name in cursive or not cursive. Okay, there's my name. Now what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite our name on the right-hand side of the page, but this time we're going to write it as a mirror image of what we've already written here. So you will start from the last letter of your name and go backwards. So however long it takes, and you can redo it and redo it and redo it until the point that you kind of feel a shift, that you're getting out of your head, you're getting into your body, you're getting into this place, you're getting into this space, and you feel present in this moment. So let's try doing this. This is the first time I'm ever doing it, so I'm likely going to get it wrong. I'm watching my brain trying to compute. I'm stuck. My brain won't work. My brain won't go any further. This is so fascinating. Okay. How did you do? Wow, my brain really resisted a lot. what was interesting about what Martha Beck said about this practice was how we are attached to language and letters, and that we get in our own way as a limitation of the language that we use. Whereas if we just look at this as a mark, we have to engage a different part of your brain, and I could feel my brain really going, like flexing a muscle that has not been flexed before. How was that experience for you? I'm very, very interested. Angela, you did it quickly. That surprised you. My goodness, I did it very slowly. I didn't even check in the mirror. Not too shabby. You struggled with the G. I struggled with the B. I found that very interesting, and I want to dabble with that a little bit more. What was interesting as well was that she was saying about how when we do something new for the first time, how we're literally forming new neural pathways. Our brain is forever shaped differently on the inside because we have had this new experience. And isn't that just so interesting in terms of where we might stop ourselves because we're so attached to our comfort zones. And when we do step outside of those comfort zones, then we're literally changing our physiology. So yeah, that resonated a lot with me, and I feel very aware of how my brain responded to this. I hope you feel, if you observed any kind of response as well to this exercise, and that it brings you here into this room, into this space, into this time, and eager to do some doodling. So now we can start our doodling. We today are going to do a little festive doodle. We're going to create a festive tree, something similar to this. This is using one of my favorite Zentangle shapes. I think we did something like this last week as well. I just find the shape of it really soothing, and then the filling of it really soothing as well. So this is the end result. However, I'm going to invite us to decorate the tree. So we're going to add some baubles to the tree as well. So get a new piece of paper, grab a pencil. I can just change my color. Let's go to a gray, grab a pencil, and first of all, just mark out 4 dots wherever you are on your page in the corners, and then just join those dots with your pencil. Just lightly, it doesn't need to be perfect or straight. Just going to frame up our little Christmas tree. Okay, still with pencil, you're now going to draw a triangle, and that's going to be the frame. That's going to create the framing or the size of your Christmas tree. So wherever you want it, maybe later you feel compelled to add more triangles. Okay, we've got our triangle. Now I will reiterate what I say during every session, that these sessions are about the pleasure and the enjoyment of doing the doodle. It's not about the outcome. So invite yourself to detach from the outcome. It doesn't matter how it turns out at all. What's most important is that you enjoy the process, that you get pleasure from the doodling, the act of doodling, that you're giving yourself, your body, your brain, a break from whatever it was you were doing that has kept you occupied today, things that are on the to-do list. You're just taking a break. If you're going to be adding baubles to your Christmas tree, go ahead and add some circles wherever you want them to be on your tree. Different sizes. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. And now finally, with your pencil, you're going to draw some wavy lines from the topmost point of your triangle, and you're going to weave them through the body of the triangle all the way down to the base. And as you come up to the baubles, the decorations, you can kind of just curve round them. You might choose to split your line so it goes round like that. Completely up to you how you choose to do it. You might choose to branch your line out further down. Okay. If you feel called to add extra little forks off your line, you can do that. Completely your decision. Okay, so hopefully you've got something similar looking to this. Now you're going to take your pen. So ideally you're going to have a kind of mid thickness pen. I'm going to do that on a different page. I have my pen in hand, so whichever pen you're using or marker, have kind of a medium-ish thickness, ideally. If not, it doesn't matter. Use whatever pen that you've got. And now we're going to follow the lines that we have created, and we're going to create those kind of leafy shapes. So the way you do it, and I'm going to start on the outside edge of the triangle and do something like that. And each leaf, can you see that if I zoomed in close enough? There you go. Each leaf kind of overlaps the next one. You could have them sticking out in different directions if you want to. They don't all have to be exactly the same. You might choose to bunch up some in between the crevices that are created. And you can make them as big as or as small as you like as well. Obviously, the smaller they are, the longer you'll be, or the more you would need to create, so the longer your drawing would take. As I always remind during these sessions, is that these live sessions are 90 minutes long, but your drawing might take longer to complete. And so the invitation is to do that in your own time, whenever you have a gap. So once you've done one side of a line, you're then going to repeat the pattern of these leaves on the opposite side of that same line, and being mindful of what other lines are in the space that you're drawing, so that your leaves kind of interact with them. You know, maybe they get squashed when they come up against your baubles or your little circles. Same thing, that your leaves, they're kind of interacting with that. So the shape, the size, the position might adjust accordingly. Let me know if you do have any questions, comments, or what's coming up for you. If you've got anything else you feel like chatting about. I'm always interested to notice what comes up during these sessions. When I'm doing doodling on my own, I'm kind of half paying attention to the drawing, but also, what my brain is processing. And then you're just going to repeat this for each of the lines that you've drawn in pencil. Going around your decorations. And when you've got that space, ideally you want to fill the negative space between the lines, or at least make them meet. Remember always to breathe as well, and pay attention to your body. Posture, hand placement. What's your other hand doing? While your dominant hand is doodling, what's your other hand doing? Is it relaxed? Is it holding on to something? In general, how are you feeling? Are you comfortable? Just pay attention. Hi, Megan. Thank you for joining. Welcome. Joining from Northwest Indiana. Beautiful. What's it like up in Northwest Indiana? If you are just joining, feel free to just get out your pens, pencils, follow along. There's no time limit really, and it's a fairly straightforward and easy pattern. Getting into the Christmas cheer, the festivities. Who has their Christmas tree up? Where are you going? Are you doing anything? What I love about this, like doodling trees and leaves and things, is that it, for me, feels like a connection to nature. And as I doodle this, I'm thinking, I love the smell of pine trees. I love the smell of Christmas trees. If you find that you have a gap like I have here, you can just imagine a new line in there and start filling that space with other leaves, or start filling from between the existing leaves, like they're peeking out. Angela, you're feeling tense and frustrated. You can't keep up. That's okay. Slow down. It's not a race. Take a deep breath. You finish your doodle in your own time. You're in Kokomo, Indiana, and it's cold with snow in the forecast. Ooh. I hope you have everything you need in preparation for facing snow. Tip, take a few screenshots as she goes along, then you'll have examples to still follow when she's done. That's a great suggestion, Stephanie. Yes. So essentially, I'll reiterate the process and how we got to where we are. We drew one big triangle. We drew we drew our baubles, our Christmas decorations, randomly in the space. And then we drew some wavy lines going down from the top to the base of the triangle, taking into account where the baubles were. And now we're just doing these leafy shapes. I kind of sometimes think of them as tongues, or like a succulent leaf. Just following the pattern or the direction of the lines and taking into account where the circles are and going around the circles as needed. We're filling the gaps. And you can either go one side and do the whole left side of a line, or you can go simultaneously left and then right, left and right, and it doesn't need to be perfect. So much, I think, limits us in our creativity when we put undue pressure on ourselves. And if we can do that, if we're limiting ourselves in our creativity, where else are we limiting ourselves? It's an interesting question to ponder. Cami, you regret the size of your circles. I think I start a new one. That's perfectly perfect. You go ahead. When I did this for the first time, I didn't have any circles at all. I just did the leaves. So if you don't even want the circles, you can leave them out altogether. Completely your choice, whatever feels intuitively right for you. Kokomo is 2 hours away. That's cool. You guys are practically neighbors. Emma, do you plan to add color later? I personally do. I'm going to be coloring mine. I feel called to color the leaves green and the baubles red, the traditional festive colors, but you don't have to. It is very much a personal preference. Something that I do is that the first I'm learning something, I follow along as best I can, knowing that it most likely won't look tidy or perfect. It's likely to be more messy. Since I expect that, I can let go of needing it to get it a certain way. Absolutely. Absolutely. I have mentioned before that I'm in the never-ending novice phase of my life, where personally I'm learning so many new things. And I've chosen in particular to learn to doodle along with all of you. I do a lot of doodling on my own, but there's something about learning together as well, and also something about learning on the go, like in the moment, and sharing that. It's uncomfortable, but I feel like there's a lot of extra growth that happens. And I think it's such a great practice of letting go of that perfection tendency that somewhere we decided we need to learn something, and if we're not proficient at it from the start, then we feel like it's a waste of time to even try. Just notice that about yourself if that is something that comes up for you. It certainly does for me. And I'm actively trying to notice that and then let it go. Decide that I'm going to try the thing anyway. I'm currently doing my yoga teacher training, and we have to attend live classes, and so you're learning live with others who admittedly are also on the learning journey, but it can be embarrassing when you don't know. It can feel embarrassing when you are not proficient and your lack of proficiency is evident. But having adopted this never-ending novice, I'm learning this with you. I'm not proficient, I'm not professional. I've got lots to learn. But I'm doing it anyway. And even when I am doodling on my own, sometimes the outcome isn't what I expected, and I will start again as well. I'll try it differently, because I will have learned, and that's the way I see it. I learned what not to do, and I get curious about, well, how could I do it differently? What can I actively do differently to get a result that is closer to my expectation or my desire? And another mind shift change around creativity is, Martha Beck mentioned it in this interview that I mentioned earlier, however you choose to express your creativity it is a mechanism to calm your nervous system, whatever it is. So we can shift the focus on what the outcome is and acknowledge that just the sheer act of doing the thing, trying it, even if it's messy, even if it's disappointing, if the outcome is disappointing, at least acknowledge the value in it because it helped calm you, or it helped get yourself out of your head, or acknowledge that new neurons have fired that wouldn't otherwise have fired. Okay, so Cami, your circles are too small. Can't see them. Great. Make them bigger. You're adding more circles now that you finished the leaves. Fantastic. Great question. If you limit yourself in your creativity, where else in your life are you limiting yourself? Yes. Never-ending novice phase. Me too. Fantastic. Sometimes it can feel embarrassing when other people say that they're beginners as well, but they pick it up faster than you do. That's interesting. Yes, I want to contemplate that. And maybe it's a case of, natural affinity. Somebody who plays a piano is likely to pick up playing guitar faster, I would imagine. I don't know, I'm not a musician, but I would imagine that past experiences can affect, or that the brain makes a connection between how they can already do one thing proficiently, so therefore when they attempt something else that is new to them, there's an existing underlying frame of reference that makes the picking up of that new thing that much easier. So we've all got life experiences, we've all got natural talents, and that we draw on that past experience to help us learn something new. Please know that I really appreciate the model for courage and vulnerability that you present in your monologue. Thank you, I appreciate that. I'm glad it's valuable. I will be honest and say that sometimes my ego, as I'm saying these things, my ego sometimes pipes up and says, people don't want to listen to somebody who's not an expert. They'd rather follow or tune into somebody who has proven expertise. But I think there is value in vulnerability. And it was actually the very intentional choice to be a never-ending novice was a big part of that was embracing and owning the non-expertise aspect. Like, I'm trying these things, I'm sharing what I'm trying as I'm trying it. Because maybe we don't see enough. Maybe there's too many experts who have already overcome their learning phase. And maybe they forget what it feels like to be a novice. That certainly has been a thought process I've had. Okay. I've finished my leaves for now. The next stage, how are we on time? 46 minutes, we're good on time. Is we're going to add a little bit of detail to the leaves. Let me read what's going on here. I love that, Stephanie, you're saying about how comparison is left to the side because all that you can see is your own work and what I'm presenting. So you're not seeing everybody else who's doing the same, following along. And isn't comparison just, what a thief of joy, what a thief of experimentation and creativity. It really is I understand that everything in moderation, a little bit of comparison might spur a bit of motivation, but in my experience, it's too easy to be influenced and to downplay or to not even attempt our own expression because we're comparing and we're seeing somebody else's output, and we're judging their output as better than our own. Emma, you are inspiring me to launch my own projects, being courageous and vulnerable. Yay, please do. Oh goodness, we need more vulnerability and courage. Examples of that, yes. Stephanie, there is immense power in seemingly trivial play. 100%. There really is. Martha Beck in this podcast was saying about how we live in a left brain world and that the focus is completely on productivity at the expense of creativity. 100% on output rather than experimentation, innovation, and creativity for the sheer pleasure of it. And doesn't that just come back to our card for the day? Tapping into that sensual side, that creative side, that energy, without the attachment to a particular outcome, only for the enjoyment of it. We're 2 peas in a pod. Fantastic. Well, we can definitely have conversations, and in some aspects I would love for these sessions to be a 2-way conversation. That would be wonderful. Stephanie, Pinterest sucked the soul out of me for creativity, so I stopped looking on Pinterest quite a while ago and found my own way. There is such a fine line, and I can completely relate. And I was talking about social media last week, social media in general, Instagram and Facebook and all of that. Sources of comparison, sources of anxiety, sources of should energy, that you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And all of those things are detrimental to creativity. And when it changed for me, I had to extract myself from them completely and then have a mental shift, mindset shift in terms of, if I want to use these tools, how can I make them work for me instead of against me? How can I make them fulfill my creativity instead of sucking my creativity dry? And I realized that, as with many things in life and on the path to personal mastery, we have to take responsibility. We have to own it. And for me personally, I realized that I was following the wrong kinds of people. I was following the wrong kinds of content, and I had a major declutter of who I was following on those platforms, because if I was going to stay on those platforms, it needed to be working for me, not against me. So I unfollowed about 2,000 odd people on Instagram and started following if I followed 100 people, that would be a lot, but very intentional and very much using the Marie Kondo practice of, does this spark joy? And if it doesn't spark joy, then it's an unfollow or it's a hard pass. And now I find I am not active on Instagram very much, but when I do go on there, at least my feed is filled with illustrations and illustrators sharing original work and teaching how to illustrate, and that has shifted how I feel and how I interact on those platforms. And the same for Pinterest as well, that I start pinning things that either teach me or inspire me. If it doesn't teach me anything and if it doesn't inspire me, I don't follow it. I don't consume it. And I also started paying attention to the ratio of consumption versus creation. As an aspiring artist, as somebody who identifies as a creative soul, I recognized that for far too long, I was consuming more than I was creating, and that's just out of balance. That's not healthy for a creative soul. We are here to create. We can be inspired, and we can take a leaf from, and we can seek out particular techniques, but don't get stuck in on that treadmill, because we can also sign up to so many courses and then you never move on from the learning. At some point you have to actually do the creation. So very much a self-observation journey, witnessing when we're getting wrapped up in either other people's content, which leads to comparison, or getting wrapped up in our own need to educate ourselves so much that we never actually get to the point of creation. And this doodling, it's so, for me, low stakes. Like, I'm not going to disappoint anybody. This is not for a client. I'm not necessarily going to show anybody this. This is like meditating. And the intention, and sure, some days it's easier than others, but the intention is that this makes me feel better just by doing it. And if it happens to come out looking remotely good, fantastic, but that's a secondary intention. Sorry, I waffled there. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for your support. Less consuming, more creating. Yes. Marie Kondo. Decluttering Mario type game. Oh, good. Like letting go, detachment is a major life lesson. Detachment. There is much suffering when we are overly attached to anything, whether it's things, experiences, our creations, people. There's a fine line between envisioning an outcome and then being overly attached to that outcome. So now I'm doing the detail in the leaves. On the bigger leaves, it's a line and 2 dots, line and 2 dots, line and 2 dots. I believe there is a name for this pattern in Zentangle. I just don't know it because I'm not overtly familiar with Zentangle, at least not enough to know the names. And when the leaves are really small, then I kind of just do one line. So it just adds a little bit of texture and detail. And for some reason, for me, it transforms this little design. Notice how your body's feeling. Remember to take a deep breath, a couple of deep breaths. What's your other hand doing? I just noticed my other fingers holding my leg really tight. And these are like the repetitive nature of these doodles. For me, is a reminder of the repetitiveness required to form the healthy habits, the good habits, the self-awareness. You know, just noticing what your hand is doing. How often are we holding so tight onto something that we don't even realize, and then that becomes a source of tension. Your body is in a state of tension from that hand hold or doing whatever it's doing, holding on so tight. So it's sending messages to your brain that there's something to be tense about, and vice versa. So then the more tense you get, the harder your hand, or tighter your hand holds on. So if we're consciously then, let it go. Whether it starts in your head or it starts in your body, consciously let it go. Take a deep breath. And that allows the space for relaxation, allows more space. May not work every time, but with practice, with repetition, it can get there. Stephanie. Oh, so that I'm freezing. Is the video freezing? That's weird. Stephanie, I love the happy accident typos that inspire me to think of new things. Now we just need a programmer for decluttering game. Yes, the decluttering game. Time for me to switch gears and use the other side of my brain. You go well, Stephanie. Yes, the creative side of our brains. They do. Thank you for joining, Stephanie. I hope to see you in a future doodling session. We're at the 1 hour mark. How is everybody doing? Where are you in your doodle? Are you ahead of me? Are you behind? Wherever you are is just perfect. Are you just listening while you're busy with something else? That's also okay. checking my posture. It is one thing with the doodling and drawing. I need to become more mindful of my posture. Going for my last row of leaf details. If you have finished your leaf details, the next phase is that we're going to erase the pencil markings that are underneath your pen, and then we're going to start filling in the negative gaps and also then decorate our little decorations, the baubles. So you can decide if you want to trace or lay down in pen the circles of your baubles now or after you have erased your pencil. I'm going to just put in a rough circle for each of them. here. And then if you've been working on paper and pen, you're going to erase back your pencil. On digital, I'm just going to remove my pencil layer. So hopefully you can see that, and I've got the detail of the leaves in there. And for me, I mean, I feel calm when I look at these doodle shapes. And now we're going to fill in the gaps between the leaves. So using your pen, the same pen, wherever you can see some spaces between the leaves, you could choose, if the gap is so big that another leaf would fit in there, you might choose to fill it with another leaf. Otherwise, you're going to fill it in. So this starts to give the picture some contrast. And I always say, isn't it just so, another one of those life lessons that you have to have contrast. To be able to see the light, you need to see the dark. And vice versa. So fill in any gaps. How are you all feeling? Is your mind racing? Is it unused to having a space of time dedicated to creativity or an activity that is not motivated by output or productivity? Are you feeling like you should be doing something more productive? That's okay if you are. Just notice it. It's a practice. I have noticed, just in general, if I think just 12 months ago, before I was doing any committed daily creativity, I was a far more anxious person. I'm not without anxiety these days, but it is far less dominant. The practice of creativity has reduced my overall anxiety. And you know what, if I think about it as well, the practice of creativity has actually made me more productive. Ironically, counterintuitively, I actually get more done now because I'm flexing my creative muscle and allowing more time like this that doesn't have expectation, that doesn't have a metric by which to judge its performance. So here's some pretty big gaps. I think I'm going to put some little leaves in. was interesting as well what Martha Beck was saying on this interview. The correlation between anxiety and language or words, like that form of communication, verbal communication. I need to listen to it again to integrate what she was explaining, but that there is some kind of correlation between how we as humans have this means of communication, language based, and just how it can feed anxiety. Whereas creativity is a language of the subconscious mind, and we shut it off. We override it with words. I'm interested because for some, writing or orating is their form of creativity. So I wonder how would she reconcile that? Like poets. Songwriters. Authors. That's their creative expression. Also notice how while you are doodling, if you're like, how much are you paying attention to time and the passage of time? And if you're hurrying through your doodle because of time, are you watching the clock? Are you telling yourself you don't have time for this? Just notice it. When I do this doodling on my own, I actually lose track of time. And that's, getting into a state of creative flow. So good for us when we're in that state. Because otherwise every minute of our day is being tracked. We're accounting for every minute of our day, and sure, there are things that we need to get done, for sure. People relying on us, especially parents. If you are a parent, you've got little people relying on you. But even just a short, brief experience of losing yourself in something creative, unplugging from time, and time tracking. There's a freedom in that. Notice how you're feeling. physically and emotionally. Starting to look like something. Not that it matters. Okay, I'm just about to finish filling up the negative space and get cracking on with the decorations, of which there isn't much, but I'll show you what I plan to do. Of course, the invitation is for you to do what you feel is right, of course. Star Wars reference. And we also we can't forget to put a decoration on the top of the tree. And I'd like to invite you to, if you feel called to, share your final doodle. If you haven't yet finished it, or if you don't finish it within our allotted time here, I do have a space, an online space where you can share your finished doodle if you feel called to. So you can just message me on my profile here in Insight Timer, and then I'll send the link to you. I'm not allowed to share external links during the live, so I'm not going to do that. So only if you want to share your final doodle, then just send me a private message and I'll send you the link. Or if you choose to upload your doodles to your own Google Drive or iCloud Drive, whatever, and you want to share that link, you can by all means do that. I would love to share other people's work on here if they feel like they want to share. Be nice to see each other's work for inspiration. Is about it. Just round out the circle a bit better. Okay, that is my filled in tree. I love the look of it. The decoration on the top. You can obviously put whatever kind of decoration you feel called to put on the top, whether it's a star or whatever is meaningful for you. I would invite you to maybe think of a symbol that speaks to you, that speaks to your intention, and maybe think about what creativity means for you, the practice of creativity, what it means for you, or what you would like creativity to spark in you. And let that be your little top of the tree decoration, whatever it is for you. I think for me, I just feel like it's a little bit of a sparkle slash flowery thing, so I'm just gonna do some petals. There we go. I'll fill that in and then do my little lines. And then our decorations, our little baubles, there's many options. You can choose to do whatever you would like to decorate them. I feel like I'm going to use a very thin, because my circles are quite small, I'm going to use a thin pen, and I'm just going to do some lines to kind of create that bauble effect, all joining from the top to the bottom. There we go. Just about finished. And there we go. I think this is the first time I have ever completed a doodle in our session. Of course, we have the option, and I invite you to feel into it and decide whether you want to color in your doodle tree. I think I probably will, so in that respect I didn't complete it, but as far as the line art goes and the doodle art goes, I have completed in this 90-minute window of time. And I feel very calm and happy with this, and I think I might even turn this into a Christmas card to send to family and friends. So I will call this session done. I hope that you enjoyed doodling along. I hope, well, I'd like to hear how do you feel? How did it go for you? What did you notice about the experience for yourself? Have you finished, or do you need to take more time for yourself to complete it? I'd love to let you know. And otherwise, this is the end of this doodling session, this Zen Doodle session. I want to invite you to follow along, and if you want to join for a future session, I do these weekly. However, I am driving up to New York City tomorrow, and so the schedule is probably going to go a little bit wonky for the next week or so. So we'll just watch the schedule to see how that goes. So Kimbo, you actually finished, yay! Even though sat listening in a trance to jazz for quite a while. Well, that's just wonderful. I love that. I love that. The music is as calming and enjoyable, and is sometimes that's all people come for, and that is okay. So that's fantastic. Thank you. So thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate your interactions. If you do want to share your drawings, share your doodle, just message me and I'll send you the link where you can drop it, or send me a link where I can see your drawing. I'd love to be able to share it on here at the beginning of our sessions. This is all still new for me, so I'm still figuring things out. So let me know if you have any suggestions on how to do things better or different. I welcome your feedback, and otherwise I will see you in a future Zen doodling session, and I hope that you feel more calm and creative. Keep practicing that creative practice, keep flexing that creative muscle, and I'll see you in a future session. Thank you, everyone. Bye.